Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Trader's Voyage. It's been a crazy week in trading, starting June 12th through to the 16th, and it seems like I've run into some bad trading psychology. We're in what everybody's calling a bull run, and I've seemed to have lost money, and we'll go through, every trade that I'm in and completed this week. I did a bit of over trading, so I've had a lot to think about. But let's first go over SPY for the week and what my predictions kind of are for SPY. So we've had a very good week here. I'm just going to move this over, and I'm just going to explain what I'm doing here. So we drew this line here, this area, because when we came up out of this area, we've been pretty much in bullish territory. So even the week before, we were really in a strong bull market zone, whereas this was down below here was more of a mid-market range coming out of the bear market, right? Down in here. And this is like completely bear market territory down this way. Now we've got the confidence coming, and it looks like we're in a bull run. And that means a lot of stock is going to get lots of money. However, this is basically because the debt ceiling was raised, interest rates stayed the same in the United States. So, are we just going to experience a little bit of euphoria? Big market players take profits because there's a lot of profit out there right at the moment. So what I'm expecting is kind of three scenarios. We can either come back down and test this area, which is what I think is going to happen, maybe not like right away next week or anything, but 425 is, I think, going to be the new low in this possible range that's going to hopefully be building. Friday could have just been like a pullback day, but I think that we're going to come back down into this area here before coming back up to test for new highs. Friday was a 52-week. Thursday and Friday were a 52-week high for SPY. If we keep going, we keep going, which would be nice. Either way, I'm fine. This week, I'm kind of resetting all my trades. So let's go through our first few trades. First, I'll go to one of the first bad trading psychology trades early in the week. And what it was is over the weekend, I adjusted my stop losses to not lose so much money because I was in some winning trades, but I definitely screwed that up. So let's start with Uber. So as you can see, I am exited Uber and out of a lot of profit. So I got into Uber on Tuesday, the 6th, and it came down, came up, we were in the money, and then started to come down. But I had moved my stop loss, and I didn't want to make a loss. And so I set my stop loss in around this area for some reason, and I got kicked out of the trade on this pullback, and then the very next day it went up 5% and then a little more on Friday. So this is a really bad decision that I've made. I should have held on to the trade, and I should have been prepared to just come back to this area here, regardless of losing money. But that was greed that did not pay off. So that's one of the first mistakes this week, as many of them have been mistakes. However, I'm in a few open trades, as you'll see at the end, that look very promising, and some of the ones that I was in are promising, but I've made some bad decisions. So let's get into our other one that we got out of that we were in an open trade last week, which is Calv. So Calv did not turn out to make money for us the second time around. As I told you before, I got out here a few weeks ago with 30% profit. Got back in here because I thought it was going to take off. Came down, and this structure here, I told you when I got into the trade, is what I was interested in. Let's see here, I'll just draw a box. That was kind of the structure that I didn't really want to see broken. And so when it was coming down, I had set a stop loss on this one, and it had broke my stop loss and came up the very next day, which I thought I was shaken out, and still we are in this area. So let's draw this box all the way over. So it's playing in this area, but it didn't come up here. Will it go up? We don't know. These have been strong days in the market for SPY, and it continued to go down. So I would say it has quite relatively weak. So I'm expecting Cal to continue down, probably at least down to this area here. And possibly break through that and continue down. So I'm not too sure what to expect with that, but I'm out with a 5.5% loss. Let's go to a next trade. We're gonna pop through these a little faster just because I probably did some over trading this week. So Azul came up, and I bought in at the very top of this day. It had gapped up in the morning and then went up. So that's where I got in on the Wednesday the 7th. This thing's been going for a very long time, as you can see. This is an airline stock out of Brazil. So lots more traveling going on, and so there's quite the room for potential for this one to keep going back up. I did get shaken out of this one, even though it is still a good stock. It was just a few days of really down days, and it had gotten way past I had already set on this one that I was going to go higher percentage loss than my 8 when I got into it, just because this day here was a significant day. So this day was a 10% day, so I knew going in that this thing could come back quite a bit, down to probably around this area, which it did, but I was shaken out because I was starting to lose too much money, and I should have set that area as my stop loss, which was around my original thesis, which if I had done that, I wouldn't have been out so much money. If we come down, that would have meant that my stop loss would have been 14%. And instead I got out with a 10.7, 10.8% loss. If I was willing to take on the extra 4%, I wouldn't really be in much of a loss at this point. This stock looks like it's going to continue to go up, and I won't be in it. All right, the next stock, MBIO, another one I got shaken out of. Let's see, if I had gone to my maximum stop loss on this one, Well, I would have gotten shaken out on a maximum stop loss too, but I should have adjusted this one for the structure of the trade. And this one, in my original thought process for this, I was thinking that the top of this candle would be the end point. So because things were pretty volatile this week with a lot of money going in and a lot of profit taking, as the markets change, you need to adapt. So that's my 8% maximum stop loss. If I had adjusted this to basically 10% and based my trade like I should have properly off the structure. However, I was playing with the idea that some other people play with when they get into a running stock with large candles, is to take 50% of the big green candle previous. So if I did that, that would be there. So that would be, which I went further than 50% of that candle. So anyways, I got shaken out of this deal. But I should have gone with my guns and went with the structure of the trade, which should have been the top of this one and within the whole day, within the daily range of this one, but the top of this day here. And I would have been safe and in the money. I would be in a roughly 10%. Yep, we would be in 10% gains, which would have corrected quite a lot of my losses on that trade. All right, next one is BDIO. This one, probably a good thing I got shaken out. As you can see, I went in long here, held on, and then we had a super strong day. So, and we broke this region here. So I added in because I was losing money on so many of the other trades, and I figured I might as well add to my winners. The next day looked great, came back, even closed a little higher, so it was all good. Then we have this big crash. Now on that weekend I had moved my stop losses up from this area here because I didn't want to take too much of a loss. In this case, it actually worked out for me because if we were in this one, let's just take it from kind of the midpoint between these two because I added about the equal amount. Yeah, we would be past our 8%, we'd be 9%, and this thing looks like it's going to be continue to go down. So that kills that one. All right, let's go to the next one. Nerve. Nerve, in and out in the same day. This one I got out because I did pick this structure right here as my exit. I was tightening my exit strategies also because I was losing too much money, not going to my maximums. This one looks like it might have just tested this lower area and then come back, which we'll see later on in the week if that's the case, if I got shaken out. Sorry, that's the wrong. So it did go all the way down to here, which isn't great, but it quickly came back up. So we'll see if next week this one carries back on up, and if it was that I didn't set stop loss management properly or not. However, it would have probably broken my stop loss management anyway because we would have been looking at where I did get out, that top area, and then through that area of these candle ranges here. So it did wick down below there, which would have probably stomped me out anyway at a greater loss. So we'll see. That one I'm not too bad about. Next is Sava. We added to Sava. It was the same day that I added to BBIO. I figured I might as well add to my winners, and this one looked good. However, I had moved my stop losses, and I figured that the bottom of this day was the day to get out. Sorry, wrong. So I figured the bottom of this candle here, of the body of this one, which is also the bottom of the day that I got in, was a good idea to run my stop loss, figuring if it went below there that it was probably going to fail. It's still currently below that price, so we'll see how that one works out. Next, Aldex, another one I got into. Let's look at this one. So we had a super strong day the day I got in, and I was in profit for half the day almost. So let's look at this one. This stock's been going up, new highs, new highs, new highs. We have a double top here. Broke out of that this week, pulled back, and then was coming back up out of this double top area. So looked really strong. This candle had gapped up in the morning from this one and kept climbing, and so I figured that was good, and I got in, was immediately in profit for half the day till it reached $12 basically, and then it broke some news about their trial at noon, and then it just continued to go down. So I held the next day on this one, even though I was thinking that it might have been a buy the rumors, sell the news kind of event, since when positive news came out for this, it just started selling off. So the next day, it had gapped up in the morning, but then traveled up and then came all the way back down and started climbing back up. So this could just be a highly volatile stock, but when I got into it, my original trade plan, because of it going up so much, was to exit the bottom of this candle, because these 2 days. So that was my original trade plan, which is basically where I got out. Now, let's get into my current winning trade. Well, yes, they are all winning so far. These are the opening trades that I am in. We are currently in CYRX at 2133. It looks like it's having some difficulty, might be reversing, but I don't want to get shaken out again, so we are really close to not being in profit on this one, but that seems like a lot of selling. This one here, I think my strategy for my stop loss should be around 2050, but we're going to have to see how volatile the week is. That's going to give me 4% risk, so maybe I should play it safer with this, and maybe just below the wick of this one if it's volatile. So let's look and measure what my risk profile would be there. Well, that would be 7.5%. So if I go to my, I'm just a little hesitant right these days to go my maximum 8, but we might have to on this trade. We'll see how the week progresses. Next trade that we're in is GSIT. This one, obviously, I got out. It's a breakout day. It was looking strong. It stayed strong and then gapped up the next day and came down. And we are just slightly in profit here. So this one, we'll see how it tracks. But as you can see, its previous recent history is 1-2 days up, and then a sideways consolidation, then 1-2 days up, sideways consolidation. So we have this big run, 2-day big run happening here. So I'm expecting a sideways consolidation, but it hasn't been breaking this 15 EMA. So we might want to build our risk management around that 15 EMA. Now, that's going to be a difficult one to manage because that's almost a 14% loss going to there. My original thesis was the top of this day before is my original thesis for stop loss management, which you can see lines right up with the 8 EMA currently as well. So we might want to risk just below there. So that would bring us to 5, that would bring us to 6%. So if we take on the full 8%, that would be that day's candle, which I don't know if that's a good idea. We'll see how the week progresses. Next is AXSM. This one also tried my patience yesterday, since another one that looks like a very strong candidate for continuation to the upside. Got in, very next day gaps up and then comes down, but was building up towards the end of the day. So we'll see how next week works out. Let's look at stop loss risk management for this one. And I'm sorry that my risk management is a little shaken this week. But yeah, so this one, if I took that whole day that I got in at 80.91 as being the bottom of that day, that sets us up even if we go about there for a very small risk management day. Right there, we're only down 1.5%, but I think that might be as low as it's going to go. Even if we go down here, it's only a 3%, 3.2% risk on this trade. Hopefully this one just keeps running. Even if we go back down to the 15 EMA, that's only 7.3% risk. So, which would bring us right back down to this area. But after these super strong days, I don't know how I would interpret that information. But let's put another line here, basically there. And I will have to evaluate as it gets into this area whether or not I think the confidence is broken. Next one is PDD. This one's been going up nice and steadily. This one is a bottom-seeking play, is what I would call this, almost. It's like, I'm going to explain why it's still kind of a bottom seeker, but isn't. We didn't have a nice pullback structure. We had this structure coming down, so the trend is coming down. We have the reversal here, which is the change of character because we have this higher low from this bottom here. And then this was considered the pullback and up. So this is, it's just not as long and drawn out. It's very quick. This one is coming up quicker. It didn't really build a like a multi-week consolidation here before it's continuing up. So this one is just moving up so fast, and I got into it. This one I already covered that I got into it. Still the open trade. We had technical difficulties. Yeah, I love having that note pin there. So as you can see, it came down, never went out of profit on this one, and then closed the day going up. So we'll just keep managing this one and see how it goes. We have the 200 moving average right here, which basically came down to test, I guess. I don't know. We're going to have to see on this one. This one, I might keep the stop loss. You know what? It might seek down into this area. So let's see the bottom of this candle here, bottom of that wick. So that's only going to be 7% risk. Now, do I want to take it on with this trade? I don't know. We're going to have to see as the trade goes on, but I think I'm going to want to keep it around the 15 moving average, which would mean we're only taking on 3% risk. So let's keep that one evaluated. This one I got into Friday afternoon because this one has been going up like crazy. Lots of volume. This one is trading at almost 30 million shares. This one is another bottom seeking one. Looks like it's the reversal and has a lot of potential for upside. This one, even if it just wants to try to get back up to the 200 moving average, is a massive gain here. But it's been super strong, lots of buying. So I got in. I was thinking about getting in on the 14th, but I, for some reason, didn't have the money to go in, or I was looking at other trades. So then it did this pullback, and on Friday, after I got booted out of a couple of my trades, we had money, and I was just looking at this one towards the end of the day, in the later half of the day, and it started moving up. And I was, my theory is I have to get back into the idea of these pullbacks, buying on the red or the very next green day, which is where I should be buying, but the market's been super crazy, lots of money into it, so my trade setups haven't been the greatest. So I decided I was going to get into plug. It looks like it's bouncing off of the 8 moving average. So we'll see how plug works out. If this is just a normal pullback, and hopefully Tuesday we are in the deep profit. As you can see, the net liquidity is just under 5,000 Canadian dollars. I went in with about 5,400, which is $4,100 US. So which means we are at about a overall loss in our portfolio of between 9 and 10%, which is the kind of a big break for me in my trading strategy, where I say, look, I got to do a super reevaluation of my trading, make sure that I'm pulling myself back in and making sure that I'm doing everything right and slowing down with my trades. So that's hopefully what I've done this week, and we'll keep you updated. And just remember, if you want to follow me more and see if I can turn this portfolio around, like and subscribe and hit the notification bell, and we'll see you next week.